All right, so we got Devin Haney and George Kambosos, 2. I think that this fight is not really a very exciting rematch. I think this is one of the most unanticipated rematches in boxing, and this is kind of the problem when you do these two fight deals with a rematch clause. I don't blame Haney for he has to do it because obviously Kambosos has the rematch clause, so you can't blame Haney. And I don't blame Kambosos because it's like you got to try to get back your titles, but after seeing that first fight, I don't really see that much that Kambosos can do to win the fight. I think he can do better by being more aggressive, making it into a dogfight, but I just don't think George Kambosos is very good when he has to lead. I think he's very good when he has to counter you, but when he's leading and initiating, it's tough. And I think that Devin Haney, if you're going to just try to, do a distance fight, he's going to pick Kambosos apart because he has more speed and he has a much better jab and he's physically bigger. So I just think that it's a tough stylistic matchup for George Kambosos. I think Kambosos fought a great fight versus Teofimo Lopez, the fight of his life. And even then, he still like barely nicked that one out. And I was in the house for that fight also because it was in New York. But I just think Kambosos, he had a great night. He's a good fighter, a top 10 guy. But Haney's the champion for a reason. I think Devin Haney should win this fight. The fear factor is the robbery. You always wonder in boxing with the how judges have been lately and just over the last few years, really just in boxing history. Could they possibly rob Haney? It's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Haney wins a UD, and I don't see Haney stopping him either. I don't think Haney has that kind of power, and Kambosos is very durable and has a lot of heart. But it's interesting because, when you have these rematch clauses, it's like, what happens when the first fight's not competitive? Well, what do you do? Because generally speaking in boxing, people want to see rematches for big upsets and close fights. And this was not a close fight, and this was not a big upset. So, I mean, it's a tough sell. I understand Haney's move, and I think Haney has a third fight going back with Top Rank. And I think what the Top Rank's plan is that Lomachenko's fighting Jermaine Ortiz in a few weeks. So if Lomachenko wins and Haney wins, and they would do a Lomachenko-Haney fight, I hope they would, but I'm skeptical. I think Haney might say, I can't make 140 anymore, and he's going to move up, or, some nonsense like Lomachenko ducked me, so I'm going to duck him back, because he didn't fight him when Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez instead for Undisputed, which I always thought was a ridiculous complaint by Devin Haney and his supporters. But regardless, Devin Haney is the man at 135. Anyone saying otherwise to me is being a hater. Undisputed champion is the undisputed champion. He legitimately beat George Kambosos, clearly. And Kambosos beat Tio, and Tio beat Lomachenko. And the man who holds the title is the man who holds the title. So, yeah, I think Devin Haney will win this fight rather easily. I'm going to go with like an 8-4, 9-3 situation. I do think Kambosos will do better than the last fight, but I don't think he'll be able to do enough to win. But I could see one of the judges maybe trying to give it to Kambosos just because how it is in boxing. But, the Joshua Usyk, one of the judges had it for Joshua the second time. That was crazy. One of the judges had 7-5 Canelo in the Canelo Triple G fight, so that was nuts. But I think Devin Haney should win this fight rather easily. On the undercard, I think you got Maloney's fighting. I think Jason Maloney, he lost to Inoue, but I expect him to KO his opponent. I never heard of his opponent, to be honest. And you got Andrew Maloney fighting, and Frank Sanchez as well. Heavyweight, top 10, borderline top 10 guy. I would definitely think all three of those guys win, and I'm curious to see what Frank Sanchez does, especially because with Frank Sanchez, he has won his last few fights, but he hasn't really entertained in the way that I think people want to see a heavyweight entertain. And that Cuban boxing style is very technical, and it's very difficult to penetrate and to beat. But I don't know if it's the style that's going to sell a lot of tickets. So I think you would have to expect a guy like Frank Sanchez to want to knock out his opponent. But overall, it's going to be a good weekend in boxing. And I want to give a shout out to the women's boxing, even though I'm generally not such a big women's boxing fan. Micaiah Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner, they don't like each other, and that makes that fight interesting. So that's definitely a cool fight that was supposed to be in the UK, I think last month, but the Queen of England passed away, so they stopped it, which I think is kind of ridiculous, honestly, that they stopped the boxing match because a 96-year-old woman died of natural causes. But whatever. Quality boxing lies ahead. And you got Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall. So I hope I'm covering everything. I think I am. But quality boxing lies ahead. And I'm very excited. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.